Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Tishana, Dork Storm Tribal.
Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 113 of the Commander's Brew podcast. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning.
Yes, it is.
But not where you're listening. When you're listening, it's a different day, probably.
Probably. Is it possible that we could finish recording and release it before the whole world is out of Tuesday mornings?
There's no chance. Well, maybe.
Who's the last people to experience a day and time? Is it the people just on the left of the date line or the right of the date line?
It's the west of us, right? Because west is behind us. And right. So like
up until the international date line.
Right. Which is in the Pacific Ocean somewhere?
I thought it was right through like Europe.
No, that's Greenwich. That's the
Greenwich Mean Time.
No, it's the prime meridian.
That's not the same thing?
No.
You're right. No, yeah, of course. The date line is in the ocean. Anyway,
Kitty,
I don't know.
Quit that. Ugh, my new cat is really scratching up one of the old boxes we have back there and making a real noise about it. But yeah, man, international date line is definitely in the Pacific Ocean.
Great. So then if you live on a boat near the date line,
maybe you're listening to this on a Tuesday morning.
Oh, wait. What if you're listening to it a whole week later on a Tuesday?
That's true. That's also true. You can do that. So if you're in Alaska and you live on one of those islands that like trails off the end of Alaska,
yeah,
or in Hawaii, you're looking good for Tuesday morning. We could probably make that happen for you. Otherwise, I'm sorry about the confusing opening.
Regardless of when you're listening to this, this is the Commander's Brew. We're going to throw you a Commander deck. It's going to be under $50. No cards over $5. Brought to you by the wonderful folks at the Wizards Tower. Brought to you by the wonderful folks at Ultimate Guard Sleeves and Boxes. And brought to you by some of you, our patrons. From patreon.com. That's a wonderful way to individually support the show. You can always catch us on Twitch every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Toronto time, or last Sunday of the month, 3 p.m. Toronto time. We got one of those coming up. It's at the end of September here. I think it's this Sunday, actually. It's pre-release weekend. That's when our next scheduled Brew and Brawl is. Yeah.
Yeah, will you be playing in the pre-release?
Yeah, I'm going to go Sunday morning.
Ooh, Sunday morning.
Also, so I can get in that priority list for that MTG beta arena.
Right. That's a good move. If anyone's not familiar with that, look it up. You can get in the beta, the advanced beta or whatever it is, if you play in the pre-release either online or in store. And then there's one other way to do it. I can't remember.
I don't know.
The other thing is, it's like compete in like a standard event at Friday Night Magic, I think, something like that.
That gives you priority in the queue. That doesn't guarantee it. That just means you probably get picked a little earlier. I don't know.
I did a short video on our YouTube talking about Arena, but some of the listeners might be wondering, Sean, what you think? You want to touch on it real quick here?
Super quick. I think it's going to be good for what it is. I'm going to it looks amazing and it looks like it's probably plays fun, but ultimately I want to be able to draft and I want to know how they deal with growing your collection. Do you get to trade with people and or buy off of people, or do you just have to grind all day and then dust cards you don't need anymore?
And you're not into the dust idea.
I'm just not into it because it's like, because that when a system has that, like Hearthstone, that's our like easiest comparison. You can't just buy a card. You have to buy packs, open them all, dust everything that's in them, and hopefully get enough dust to create the cards that you want. It just seems like you're gonna way overpay for any rare. Like then it doesn't give any cards any value. Like no rare is worth more than any other rare. Just happens to be, what you opened or not. That is if there's no like.
Well, there's no real
trading.
worth outside of the in-game, like, dust, basically, right? There's no sense of a secondary market that way.
True.
So like the worth is kind of, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to not think of Magic cards that way. But if that's what they go with, that's how it'll be. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think they did say that there definitely would be a way to trade cards and things like that.
Well, great.
Yeah, I think I should have really paid more attention to who Jimmy was interviewing, but because I can't remember their names. But one of the guys said that Magic wouldn't be Magic without trading. It's like part of the game and buying and selling and stuff like that. So I think I think they're looking to integrate something. Yeah. So.
Yep. And then I think the right thing to do was to be able to look into whoever paid money into the Magic duels and give them a bonus for their arena account.
Whoever paid money for that. Well,
yeah, if you put money into duels with the understanding that was going to be their supported product going forward, and then they backed out on it a couple years in, then you should be compensated with more arena credits.
But how did you reasonably think duels was going to be their go-to online thing when they don't even let you have 4 of certain cards in your deck and stuff?
Because that's what
very obviously the Duels of the Planeswalkers is just next generation thing.
But that's what they said. They when they kind of switched over duels, they were like, we're not going to release a new duels every year and make you pay again. We're going to just keep updating, and you can keep growing your collection, and we're going to keep going with this way. Yeah. So there's sort of the understanding that if I invest, so I'm not going to invest in a once a year thing that just goes obsolete every year. But now that this one, quote unquote, lasts a while, I don't mind putting some money into it. But then they just cancel it without warning. So it's like, well, what did I do that for?
I see. You're just saying about that program in general. I thought you meant thinking that was going to be their new online platform for going forward. Like they're saying Arena is going to be.
Right.
Yeah. That's understandable. Yeah, I doubt they'll do that.
I also doubt they'll do that. I mean, it costs them nothing as a company except for potential revenue, right? I mean,
it costs them nothing except money.
No, but if they don't have to manufacture anything, it doesn't cost them products. So,
right. Potential revenue is money that they'd make. So that's.
But it's short term. It doesn't though, because if you please your customer base, they're more likely to spend money and come back to your company.
Well, you said it, not me.
I did say it, but that's the full implication is short term revenue, but they're throwing away long term revenue by it.
Right, I see what you mean. I agree. I think it would be nice to have a little something, even if it's just a small bonus for those people. But I mean, it's probably a lot. Maybe they get a bonus card. It's like, hey, you played duels. Here's your free Cyclonic Rift. Or something that you wouldn't use in any of the formats.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is what I can see them doing. But I think overall it's pretty exciting, and maybe we're just fans of the game. But I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on this, even though basically every other online product they've ever put out is woefully disappointing.
I mean, I don't care about other formats that much on MTGO. I'm fine if that's basically just a draft format, a sick draft program. I'm fine with that.
Me too. I agree. I think eventually it will I think it will branch out. I don't know if it'll ever go Vintage Legacy, but as I said in the video on our website, I think it's possible for it to become modern. I don't know. I think it's possible. I think I think within I think it's probably within a few years, but I could see them doing flashback drafts. You know what I mean? So they'll code Innistrad in there. They'll code Scars of Mirrodin.
But it's not just like that. You can't just code they already can code the cards easily enough, but now they have to do animations for everything and voices for all the planeswalkers and stuff like that. And that's a larger overhead than just putting new cards in pre-existing code structure.
But that's not the thing that's holding them back. There's only what, like 10 or 11 different planeswalkers anyways. You record the voices for those guys easy. It's the inter-set mechanics that working in, like those like weird loopholes and stuff that break the game. Those are the things that are hard to do.
I would contest that, like, if once you have Ixalan programmed, I think adding new mechanics is probably very easy. I mean, you got to iron out some bugs, but I think the bulk of the work is extra animations, like when the dinosaur animates out of the card and roars. Like, you got to do that for every card for all the sets, right? I think that undertaking is probably more expensive production-wise, I think, at this stage.
Oh, well, who knows? Maybe somebody out there who designs games knows. I mean, obviously, that's an intense part of it for sure. At any rate, it would be nice to see it if it were to happen, but it might just be a pipe dream. Who knows?
I expect it to be like not Frontier, but like from everything from this forward becomes like an eternal format, right? So like it's like a new version of Frontier, only it starts at Ixalan or Kaladesh or whatever they include in this.
Yeah, it'll just be called Arena.
Yeah, it'll be called Arena.
Right? If that does become a format, they just call it Arena, and
then we can play
only.
like real paper version of Arena as the format.
That's true. Yeah, you can do that too. Sweet. Okay. What else? What's happening today? What's happening with Commander's Brew today here?
We were goofing around with tongue twisters last week, and we asked you to send us a tongue twister. And our favorite one that we got was one by Zach Walker. This one's pretty good. He really found a neat area of Magic cards to do a tongue twister on. Urza tasked Urabrask with attacking Jin Gitaxias.
That's pretty good. I like that it even rhymes.
Yeah. Urza tasked Urabrask with attacking Jin... Nope. Urza tasked Urabrask... Nope. I can't do it.
Urza tasked Urabrask with attacking Jin Gitaxias. Urza tasked Urabrask with attacking Jin... It is kind of tough. Urza tasked. You got to say tasked right. Urza tasked Urabrask with attacking Jin Gitaxias. Very good.
Close.
Thanks,
It's good.
Hanger Zach Walker.
Yeah.
On
Walker.
Twitter.
I get it.
That's
I get
huge. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was a little fun bit. Do you want to do this game now, or do you want to do it later?
Absolutely. We have another fun bit we've been brewing for you. As you know, we're taking a break from the Commander's Burns for a little bit because we kind of burnt out on them, no pun intended. But we want to fill this spot with something fun and silly to do. And this is a great, I think, it's kind of your brainchild, Andy. Why don't you explain it?
Okay, there's a sweet app you can get on your phones these days, and it's called Heads Up. And it's basically like that old game Headbands, kind of, except the person holding it up doesn't ask the questions. They just get told what it is. So basically it's like you hold up your phone and it'll say let's say if you're doing like superheroes, it'll say Spider-Man. So I'm holding up my phone. I can't see that it says Spider-Man. And then Sean's got to try and get me to guess Spider-Man. Right. So, and he can say anything except he can't say something that rhymes with Spider-Man, like Flighter-Man. And he can't say the word spider or man, or just say Spider-Man. You can't do that. That wouldn't be a very fun game. It would just be repeating words back to each other. So we're thinking, why not just do this with cards from our decks, from our EDH decks? Yeah. And like Heads Up, you choose a category and then you see a bunch of cards. We'll pick a deck. We'll pick a commander that we have, like of real decks that we have. And then we'll do it. So if you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, you can either not watch, or you can just see what the cards are and see how good we are at this. And if you're listening at home, audio wise, you get to play along, right? Because you're not going to know what the card is either. So you can guess along with it as with the person who's describing it. So let's and you get a minute. We have a minute timer. That's the
a new timer technology.
So it's really quick. Okay, yeah, so bring up the timer. There it is. Sweet. Now I got to actually get the timer thing here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Sean and I have chosen decks we're going to play with. We'll each do one. So it's real quick. It's only a minute each. And we're going to see who can get the most, who knows their deck better.
Yep.
Right.
We've taken the lands out. And we're gonna know who the commander is, but that's it.
And I am now hiding. So Sean doesn't have this problem, but I have to hide. I can see mine and his video, so I have to hide my own video so that I don't see which card I'm holding up.
I have minimized my Skype video, for the same reason.
And we all know that I can't do that, or you'll freeze in place on the YouTube video.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
who's playing first?
Yeah, who wants to go first? Go ahead.
I'll guess first.
You'll guess first.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be holding up your cards from your which deck are you playing with today?
I am playing with, and this is for sizing. Tell me if this is a good size. With Athreos, God of Passage.
That looks pretty good to me. Maybe even a tiny bit closer would be good. Or just a bit back. There you go. That's good. That's good right there.
Okay, that's my spot. Okay, good.
That's your spot. And
I don't know what cards I'm going to be holding up.
Exactly. So, Sean, how well do you think you know this deck? This is kind of the name of the game. Like, how well do you know your deck?
I think I know it fairly well. I have a fair bit of redundancy built into the deck, so that might be where I get tripped up. And I'm sure I made a couple of recent changes that I totally forgot about, and I'm like, I didn't even know that card was in there.
Sounds like you don't know the deck all that well. How many do you think you'll get in a minute?
Well. In a minute? I think I can get 7.
7? That's a lot.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so Sean thinks he's going to get 7 in a deck he doesn't know very well. Okay, we have some quick, like, little tiny rules. We're just not going to say the rules. Like, you can't just read the rules section. I'm just going to read the card. But we are allowed to say, like, what type of creature it is. But we're not allowed to say power toughness, and we're not allowed to read the rules. And then, but if we're having trouble, we can say evergreen abilities. We can say that.
We can describe the art a little bit.
Because we could say it hits first. Like, that's just, we know that means first strike, so we might as well just be able to say first strike, right? Like, it can run over everyone when, it's like, okay, trample, just say trample, it's fine.
You die if it touches
Exactly. So, okay, so here we go. So, when you hold up the card, I will start the timer.
Okay, ready?
Here we go, Athreos. Okay, this is a big demon, and it's like he's standing on a pile of skulls. And oh wait, I haven't started the timer. There we go.
Is it Kuro?
He likes it when things die. He gets to draw more cards.
Oh, I know the guy. He's a morbid trigger.
Sort of, yeah. For every something with every other creatures.
Ooh,
I'm trying not to just read the rules text.
Don't know his name.
Big demon.
You know what? I know the card. I don't know the name.
Okay, pass.
Can't remember the name.
Pass. We're already halfway through the minute, and I started it later. Okay, classic enchantment card. Hurts you.
Greed.
For one, only once on the beginning of your turn.
It's Phyrexian Arena.
Yes. Okay, good. You got one. Okay. When something dies, it's an enchantment. It's heavy black, like a lot of black.
Dictate of Erebos.
No, even more black. Same thing though. Same thing. Even more black.
It's the
same exact thing. Same exact thing. Laughing clown
on it. Can't remember the name.
That's it. There it is.
Grave Pact.
There it is. Grave Pact. So it's tough to just not say what the. Like, I think we could just say what the card does. I think that's the point of it.
Oh, boy.
But you're just not reading the text straight up.
I don't know any card names.
Well, this is going to help us get better. Okay.
You think?
So, Sean, you got 1. You thought you could get 7. You were wrong.
Not even close.
Not even close. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go here. That was a little disappointing, I feel like. We didn't even really get to read that many cards. So here's the thing. You can say what the card does. You're just not allowed to read it verbatim from the rules.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It's just like, how am I supposed to explain Death Pact to you? I don't know. I'm basically just saying what it says, right?
Scary clown wants things to die.
Yeah, but that doesn't describe it at all, I would argue.
I mean, it describes the picture.
It describes the picture of being is it a clown, though, even?
He's a scary. I shuffled. I'm a habitual shuffler. If he put some cards in my hand, I'll shuffle them. So I've shuffled it away already. But he's this creepy looking clown. He's got clown makeup on.
Okay, so let's do me. Let's see how we do here.
Okay.
So
Let's do you.
I'm going to how's that?
Good sizing. That's your commander. That is Edgar Markov.
Yeah, so this is an Edgar Markov deck. I have recently just changed my Olivia Voldaren deck to Edgar Markov. And so I've been messing with this deck a bit lately. So I think I know this one pretty well. I think I'm going to get 4 cards here.
Okay.
I think I can get 4. in a minute.
Conservative.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like to me that's like I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna get 4.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Are we ready? I'm gonna hold up the card
Yes.
and then we're gonna say start. Ready? Go.
Ooh, this is an enchantment. Team of horses. It makes everybody huge by +1/+1 counters.
Oh, Cathar's Crusade.
Yes. Ooh. Another one. It's another enchantment. It makes everyone bigger but not if they're tokens.
Oh, something the one that gives them +1 and +1 of vigilance. Oh,
Yes.
I don't know what it's
Yep.
called. I don't know what it's called.
Same
Pass.
problem.
Pass.
Okay. Ooh,
Always
one
watching? Is it
pair of
called
boots.
Always Watching?
No, yeah, number 1 pair
Oh,
of
I
boots
got
of
it.
all
That
time.
counts as getting it. Because I didn't reveal it to myself. Anyways, go.
Okay. Number 1 pair of boots.
Oh, Lightning Greaves.
Yes.
Yes. Ooh, look at this. I'm almost got 4.
Ooh, second best boots.
Oh, Swiftfoot Boots.
Oh, I said boots.
Oh,
boots.
yeah. Okay, that one doesn't count. Go.
It looks like Olivia Valderrama, but not.
Oh, Falconwrath Aristocrat.
Yep.
Go. Oh, no, we only got 2 seconds.
You're shaking it too much, Kissy.
Oh, no, I was shaking it too much because I'm too excited. All right, let's get this one outside of time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's a sorcerer. It's I think it's a new card from the deck. Dude is trying to look at a dragon. The dragon's like, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna mess with you.
Ooh.
It makes target player draw a bunch of cards
Yes.
and lose life.
Oh, like Damnable Pact.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Nice.
that one doesn't count, but I did get 4.
Yeah.
Bang on.
Not bad.
Not bad. That was good, and your describing was very good.
Yeah.
Oof, that's stressful. How well do you know your deck?
I got excited playing that game too. So if I shouted into the microphone a bunch to the audio listeners,
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to apologize for like huge volume spikes.
I
if that
will
happens.
affect that in post. I will make it so that it's not so bad.
Who is the demon on the skulls?
Harvester of Souls.
Oh yeah. See, that's a name that is not in my brain.
So what you gotta play? Oh yeah, there's
That's a scary clown.
Grave Pact. It looks like a zombie though. Like I don't know if that doesn't look like a clown to me.
Well,
Just
it
looks
looks
like
like
a
he's got.
zombie wearing a weird hat.
I guess you could make that argument. It reminds me of. It looks like the Joker.
It does. You're right. Like you're not wrong. Like it does definitely look like he looks clownish. No question.
Clowny zombie.
Clowny zombie. Okay, well that's heads up. Or how well do you know your deck? That's the game show there. I win this round.
Yeah, big time.
I win this round. But maybe that's just because Sean's better at describing the cards. I don't know.
Or I'm also like I don't file cards by name. I file card in my brain by like kind of what they do. And like I know a surprising amount of details about them except the name.
Well, that's going to mean hard times for you on how well do you know your deck.
All right.
That's
great.
the crux of the whole thing. You gotta study up. And to be fair, like I said, like I've been tinkering with this deck like for the last week. So like I'm pretty familiar with what's in here now.
Sure. I haven't looked at this deck in a little while.
Well, then there you go. That'll do it. Let's get to this week's deck.
Ooh, can't wait. So this is like our Ixalan preview week. So we're going to do a commander from the new Ixalan set.
That's right.
And I was definitely drawn to Tishanna, Voice of Thunder. Tishanna is 5 blue-green. So it's a Simic commander, legendary merfolk shaman, and her power and toughness is star. Tishanna, Voice of Thunder's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size, and when Tishanna enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control. So this ended up being, so as we can see, Tishanna is expensive to cast, but she draws you a lot of cards, one would hope. Presumably, you've got yourself in a position where you can probably draw 5-10 cards, maybe more, and you don't have to discard any of them because of that no maximum hand size rule. And then Tishanna is just a massive monster. It is very possible to get Tishanna to the point where it's like, well, she's an 11/11, so just 2 hits, and I've eliminated someone with my commander.
True. Yep.
So there's a little bit of that going on. But, and then I thought, if it's just going to be full of little dorks, let's make it Dork Storm, and put in a bunch of like it's also paradoxical outcome, that card that kind of like, well, and we'll talk about it later, but it's the card that it got big in like legacy or vintage, I think, where you can put any number of non-token permanents back into your hand and then draw a card for each one. So there's a few effects to draw mittfuls of cards. Recast a whole bunch of dorks. Those dorks themselves fuel the deck. It's sort of a combo dork deck.
So yeah, that's what you say when you say Dork Storm.
Yeah, Dork Storm Tribal, I think, is the loose nickname. Maybe it's less tribal, but for dorks.
But for dorks.
Yeah.
You dorks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Okay, so cool. This sounds great. Tishanna, when I saw Tishanna, I was like, Marrow Tribal, which is the creatures like that get as big as your hand, which is what she is. She's basically a Marrow.
Oh, yes.
Which I think is like kind of the very like, literal interpretation of what she does, and that's what you would think to build build around. So I like this different take. Let's get into it.
Sure. So it's Dork Tribal, Dork Storm. So we need a ton of dorks. So I wanted every dork to do something, to either I want them all to like get through our deck or help us get through our deck. I want them to either make mana, fetch a land, draw a card, or just keep things moving. Every dork has a purpose.
No dork will be left unturned.
Yeah, no dork unturned.
Untapped.
Untapped? True. I want to start with some ramp dorks. Classic Elvish Mystic, right? This is one of the defining mana dorks. That's why we call them dorks, because we call them mana dorks. But I'm just referring to any small couple CMC creature as a dork.
Right. Okay.
It's 1 green for a 1/1 elf druid. Tap, add green to your mana pool. Great. That helps us ramp to 7, and it will also be an extra card to draw when Tishana pops out.
Sweet. After that, we've got Curious Follower, different kind of dork. Green and blue for a 2/2 merfolk, and you tap it, and it can untap another target permanent. So, obviously, this can untap a land and act as a mana dork that way.
Yeah, and then just keep in mind, since we're building towards Storm, being able to untap artifacts that give more than 1 mana is a boon.
Very good, and in a pinch, also the bounce lands.
Sure. We only have 1 because it's
True.
only 2 colors.
Just Simic. Yeah.
Yeah, or we're relying on Temple of the False God.
Right.
Okay, great. I'm not going to talk about every single dork. There's a million ramp dorks.
Million dorks.
What about loot dorks? I also include looter dorks. Dorks that help us cycle through cards that, if we drew too many lands, we just can't possibly play them in time. We'll throw some of them away for other cards. How about Looter Il Core? 1 and a blue for a core rogue, 1/1 with shadow. Whenever Looter Il Core deals damage to an opponent, draw a card, then discard a card. Right? You're always gonna guarantee a hit, and then you get to loot every time you do.
Yeah, very rarely is anyone running shadow creatures to block, and if they are, it's probably just another Looter Il Core.
Right. Or that white one that destroys enchantments.
It's funny because I think sometimes people don't put this card in their deck. Like, this is a big cube card, but I don't see it a ton, Commander.
Not a lot of room for dorks.
No, not a lot of room for dorks, but people will sometimes run things like Enclave Cryptologist, and I get it. They have that's a bit of a higher ceiling, but like Looter Il Core is basically tap, loot, and deal 1 damage to an opponent, right? Like, that's pretty good.
Kinda, yeah.
Kind of. Speaking of Enclave Cryptologist, it's also in here. 1 and a blue, just 1 blue. For a merfolk wizard that has level up mechanic. We all know this. The level up here is 1 and a blue. You can put a level counter on it, and you can only do it as a sorcery. Starts as a 0/1, and in fact will remain a 0/1 no matter how many you put on her. But at levels 1 to 2, it's tap, draw a card, then discard a card, so loot. And then if you get her up to level 3 or more, it's just tap, draw a card.
I think I prefer these kind of looters over Looter Il Core because we do have untappers. Mm-hmm. And if I really wanted to, I can untap Enclave Cryptologist and loot again. But I can't do that with Looter Il Core.
Exactly. Yeah. Curious Follower, very good with Enclave Cryptologist in that way.
So what about draw dorks, right? We want
Draw
some dorks that help
dorks.
us draw cards, right? Elvish Visionary, Elvish Vig, 1 and a green, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Super simp.
Super Samp. Even better, Coiling Oracle, blue green. Snelk Ape Druid, Snelk Ape. I said Snelk Ape Druid.
Snelk Ape.
That's not even a combination of snake and elf. It is a little bit, but it's
A
not
little
really.
bit.
Snake, elf, druid, Snelk Ape.
Snelks.
Yo,
Why did it have to be Snelks?
Oh my god. That belongs in an ape museum. Oh man. Anyways, this Snelk, he's a special kind of. I was gonna say we should do a commander interview with Snelk Ape. Hello, I'm Snelk Ape.
Oh my goodness.
Coiling Oracle is a snake elf druid. We know this guy. He's a 1/1. When he enters the battlefield, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card in your hand. I thought this should have been the Explore. This is what you call Explore
Oh
for the new
yeah.
set. I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. That's like you find the land, like you explore it. You find land. They just did it differently. Yeah, I gotta say, I also just like that they came up with a new mechanic instead of like repurposing an old one. So I think it's
Yeah.
I still like the new mechanic. Don't get me wrong. I just when I saw Explore, I was gonna be like, oh, I bet you they just took Coiling Oracle and used that, but they didn't. Which is good.
I mean,
it's actually a good
probably
thing.
the inspiration.
Yeah.
Coiling Oracle's probably the inspiration for
Yeah,
it.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Anyways, this
But
card's
Coiling
amazing.
Oracle,
We love Coiling Oracle.
yeah, it's either ramp or card draw. So it's a draw dork or a ramp dork, whatever it's on top.
You tell me you don't want those things in Commander? Get out.
Yeah. So the deck is full of these guys, right? So many dorks that just help us get more mana, get more cards, that helps us hit our land drops, that helps us generate more mana. So it's not hard to get to 7 and then cast Tishanna. At which point we've probably emptied our hands, so we're good, and we're probably going to refill with another 6 to 8 cards. We're just going to keep dumping out the dorks. So yeah, and so once our hand is full again, we're going to start setting up like the storm part of it, right? It is dork storm. So one key part of having a good storm deck is quote unquote free spells.
Right.
That is to say, spells that up your storm count but don't actually cost you any resources, so you can just keep going on them. One of the best for this is Everflowing Chalice. It's a 0 mana artifact with multi-kicker 2, so you can either just cast it for free as a 0-drop artifact for no purpose but storm, or if it's not that part of the game, you can spend 2 and basically make it onto a Mind Stone, right? You can just put 1 or more counters on it to help further storm count, just to generate some mana, maybe untap it, generate more mana, and then bounce it back to your hand and cast it for free.
Perfect. Also, there's this sort of mechanic, the Cloud of Fairies. It's 1 and a blue for a 1/1, has flying. When Cloud of Fairies enters the battlefield, you untap up to 2 lands. So it essentially becomes a free spell. And there's actually a few things that do this. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got Frantic Search in there also. That's the instant that you have to draw 2, discard 2, untap 3 lands.
There's also the Peregrine. There's also Peregrine Drake, which is
Yeah.
a 5 mana dragon that'll do that. And then there's obviously this Palancron, which is the 7 mana big dude who untaps 7 lands.
That will come up
isn't there-
in the expensive part
Isn't
of
there
the
an
deck.
even bigger one too? Isn't there like some kind of whale or something?
There's one that's tied with Palancron, but it doesn't have the come back to your hand ability.
Right. Well, and Palancron's a very expensive card, so we're not talking about that. We're talking about Cloud of Fairies.
Yeah.
For a quick
Because
one.
it's also a dork.
Yeah, and it also has cycling,
Yeah.
which is
I
neat.
totally just noticed that.
Yeah, that is a nice little bonus, you know?
I can't imagine when you would ever cycle it, though. You want another creature on the battlefield, and it's a free spell.
Right. Yeah, you want that.
And another creature that has a lot of flexibility is Endless One. It's just X for a 0/0 Eldrazi with X +1/+1 counters on it. So if it's early, cast it as a 2 or 3 drop. If it's late, cast it for 0 as a storm.
There you go. Same thing. Very Everflowing Chalice of Endless One.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so like, you can see how this is shaping up. How does it work though? What are we're building towards things. Let's talk about the storm package. Here's what we're building towards.
Oh, you want me to do it? Okay.
Sure.
Yes, of
I
course.
think I just did
Yes,
this
you
one.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is like not strictly storm, but it basically grants storm to like your battlefield. Essentially, it's Aetherflux Reservoir. For an artifact, whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. So this just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously, this one, and then you pay 50 life. And Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player.
Yeah.
I love that you can target a creature with it. It's just you'll just never have to do that, I don't think. Like,
yeah.
Very rarely. Like, I was just thinking, I was like, when would I ever want to target a creature over a player? Obviously, if a player has like 200 life and they have a giant 50-50 creature, maybe you'd kill the creature, but I don't know, man.
I don't know, like if they've got a creature that's about to like it has summoning sickness, but if it gets to their turn, they're gonna use it to combo out a win.
And you can't kill him. He's got more than 50 life. Like maybe you do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A Gisela player who like is just running away with the game, and Gisela's too. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, Aetherflux Reservoir is there to target a player in this deck, so we don't have to worry about that.
With Gisela, it only does 25.
Only, yeah.
Yeah. That's a big way we're gonna do it. And it only takes like 7 or 8 spells to gain 50 life.
Right.
And then after that, it's only a few more spells to gain your next 50 life. So like if you can squeeze out a ton of storm cards, then like it's possible to get over 100.
That's the dream.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Another way we're going to do that is with Temporal Fissure. 4 and a blue sorcery. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. It also has Storm. So this is like proper Storm. But yeah, if we can get up to 10 or 12 spells, the 2 in tandem are perfect, because maybe you can't Aetherflux Reservoir 2 people, but I can probably Aetherflux Reservoir 1 person, and I'll just bounce all of the other person's lands back to their hand and put them back to the Stone Age.
Yeah. Absolutely. This one comes up in our Epic Experiment deck, which does end up using Storm as a win con. And Temporal Fissure is a back-breaking card sometimes. Even if it's just at like 8 or 9, you can just completely take a person out of the game. Not even that. Like even if it's at like 6 or 7, sometimes you just bounce all their lands, and it's like, well, that person's not going to be playing for the next few turns. It can also, like, if it's not going to outright win you the game or kill a person, it will give you the time to get back into a game sometimes, which is very good. I mean, that's not really what you want to use it for, but in a pinch, right? I love Temporal Fissure.
It's interesting because it's permanence.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Cyclonic Rift sets someone back huge, but then they have, it takes them a turn and a half to catch back up because it's all in their hand. They just recast everything. But if you just bounce all or most of their lands, it's just like they can't catch up.
It's basically like land destruction on one player.
But
then you can also bounce, like, sometimes you might even be able to get, like, bounce these 6 or 7 lands and then bounce these other 2, like, awesome enchantments you have. Like, it's just, you're just back so far.
Yeah.
And another proper Storm card, which is one that you don't see used competitively all that often, but I think is probably the better one for EDH, is Hunting Pack. 5 green, costs 7. That's probably why you don't see it all that often. 7, it's an instant, and you put a 4/4 green beast creature token onto the battlefield, and it has Storm. So this is
huge.
This one's tough just because you do need a lot of mana left over after you're storming off, right? But hopefully the way that it's all set up, you can make that work.
Yeah. Do you know what I forgot to include in the notes is kind of the main card is paradoxical outcome.
Yeah,
can you pull that
yes,
up?
Yes, you did. I already showed it because
okay,
at the beginning of the show, because you mentioned it, and I
I
noticed
guess
it was
in my
not
mind,
in the notes.
in my mind, it was just like that's an understood thing, so I hadn't thought about it. But just to paint the picture for you, paradoxical outcome, because it brings non-token permanents. That's one of the reasons I didn't include a ton of token generators, right? We could generate a ton of tokens and have Tishanna generate and like draw tons of cards that way. But I want to be able to paradoxical outcome a lot of stuff. So I wanted all my dorks to be actual creatures. Hopefully with all that ramping, we're going to tap our creatures before we bounce them to put all that mana in our mana pool. So most of them end up paying for themselves. That's a free spell. I've got artifacts that tap for more than 1 mana, or what they cost. So then untappers can, untap them, tap them, and just bank all kinds of mana, bounce everything back to our hand, draw tons and tons of spells, replay our free ones, our clouds of fairies, etc. And by that point, it's pretty easy to get up to like a 12, 13, 14 point storm.
How badly does this deck miss having rituals?
Well, I mean, it would be better, right? Rituals just help storm. But there aren't a lot of straight. That's why we had to get creative with how we did it, but
right.
with like the dorks versus. You'll also notice I don't have too many tutors. I mean, the tutors will show up in the expensive cards in the budget report. I know, spoiler alert, but we don't need to tutor that hard because we're going through so many cards. We usually will find 1 or 2 of the pieces, and then we just need a tutor for that last piece that's still missing.
Because you're drawing so many cards, partly with your commander.
Yeah, partly with our commander. And like when you resolve a paradoxical outcome, you're probably also drawing another dozen cards or so. And then like it's also possible to just have Tishanna be big enough for a 1-hit kill if you can. So you just don't bounce her.
Right.
And
I never even thought of that. You paradoxical outcome, that makes her huge.
Right. And perhaps you just have a way to make her unblockable. So that's just a thing.
Right, because paradoxical outcome, I don't know if you read it fully. Did you? No.
I did.
You did.
I don't know if I did.
I don't think you did. 3 and a blue, instant. Return any number of target non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hands. Draw a card for each card returned to your hand this way. So you can choose to not return Tishanna, and therefore but then return all your other things, and she's just massive and can swing in for a big hit.
Right, and so after testing the deck, you start to learn so you're not going to bounce Edric because he doesn't have an enter the battlefield ability. He's there just so we can draw even more cards with our Dork Swarm.
Of course.
But right, so you don't need to bounce him. Like there's a couple people you wouldn't bounce, but for the most, you just bounce the things that either pay you back or keep the engine rolling.
Right on. Sounds good.
Yeah, cool. Should we go to the 3 stars of the deck?
Let's do it. Take a look at the 3 stars.
All right. Star number 3 is Regrowth. 1 and a green. Sorcery. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Man, it is awesome to pull that paradoxical outcome from the graveyard and just do it all over again. Keep that rolling that way. That's an excellent move. And sometimes, if someone destroys your Aetherflux Reservoir, maybe you're going to want to regrowth that and pull that back into the game.
Right on.
For part of a storm package, regrowth is pretty good.
Nice. This is one that I just simply forgot to put in my Epic Experiment deck. I know that when we were brewing with it, both for the show and when I was doing it individually, I always had a regrowth in there, and I just kind of forgot about it. And definitely, I've played games where I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't put regrowth in here, so like, I better not lose, whatever card it was. I got to keep here. I got to keep this regrowth because I can't have, or rather, I got to keep this card in my hand or like Aetherflux Reservoir because I don't have a regrowth to get it back. So very, very key. Very, very important.
Yeah, and the fact that it only costs 2 is important too.
Yes.
It's a cheap spell.
Number 2 is Beguiler of Wills.
Yeah.
3 blue for a creature, a human wizard, 1/1. Gain control. It has tap. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of creatures you control. Interesting. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of dorks out there. We're going to have a lot of little creatures, so Beguiler of Wills can grab just about anything that's on the battlefield. And I would imagine that this is not only a way to just like gain an edge and get good creatures, but to stop something that might be killing you in the meantime, and then it acts as, something on your side. It acts as a blocker or whatever.
Or an aggressive attacker, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go on the offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I put the number 1 star of the deck for the way this deck runs is Cryptolith Rite. 1 and a green. Enchantment creatures you control have tap. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. This effectively turns all of our dorks into true mana dorks. So they can generate mana so that when we bounce them, they can pay for all or most of their cost when I recast them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cryptolith Rite is awesome. What a wicked card.
Wicked. So cheap.
I remember buying a couple of these and being like, ooh, when am I going to, what decks am I going to use them in? And I still haven't really figured out what deck I've want it in, but I know I want it in something.
Man, Andy, I'm going to build this in real life. It's so fun to just I don't have any real Storm decks, right? I had a Yidris deck that did some fun Cascade stuff, but it never worked in a way that made me happy. But this...
And you never got around to building Epic Experiment.
I never did. But I enjoy when you're playing your version. I love watching it go. But this is a fun way. It's really fun to okay, here, I'm going to go for it. There's a tension where you're okay, I cast everything, tap all my lands, get all my mana. Okay, here's another storm count. Here's another storm count. Here's one. And then, we didn't go over this, but I have a few non-dork creatures. They're those big creatures that whenever you cast a creature, you draw a card, for example. Right? I'm also running Zendikar Resurgent, for example, to get more out of my mana. And so that when I cast a creature, I draw more cards, which is more free spells, more dorks. And there's a really fun tension of I got to keep this rolling. I hope this streak keeps going. I hope I'm able to keep casting more things.
Yeah.
Just working out your last couple of points of mana and just seeing how you can squeeze a few more storm triggers out of there.
How about counter spells? Do you have any counter spells in here?
I don't have any in there right now. I mean, this deck folds to Wraths big time, right? Because if you get Wrath too early, it's now Tishana costs 9 and all my dorks are my graveyard. It can be very hard to come back from some Wrath.
I think you need to have a couple of, and they're not even expensive. I think if you just have Negate, a Swan Song, and maybe another one, just to protect when you're about to storm off. Right, you want something that's going to give you that little bit of reassurance that okay, well, I can at least defend against one counter spell.
Yeah,
and like you said, the Wraths kill this, so I think that's even more reason to include some.
I think so. If we can do it's out of budget, but I would think this is a perfect candidate for Glen Elendra Archmage to have a creature base.
Oh, and I think what is it? Negation Pact? Is that what it's called? Pact of Negation.
Pact of Negation is a spell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very expensive. Yeah, if we're talking pricey,
it's
put in Cryptic Command. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess put in what's it called? Put in Force of Will.
Force of Will. Yeah, sure. But Pact of Negation is a 0 mana
expensive?
cost
Is
spell.
How expensive?
Pact is it? I don't know, man. Of course it is.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's. Oh my God! Yeah, okay. It's $25. I was thinking it's more I thought for some reason it was cheaper than that, but anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, what Swan Song does a great impression of it. It's cost 1 blue and it's $1, right? So
yeah, it's true.
And it does basically everything you want. You don't care if you give them a bird token.
Yeah.
Anyways,
not at that point.
Cool though, very neat. Yeah, Cryptolith Rite, great card to include.
Yeah, and for the surprise and discovery section, we just talked about Begalar Rolls. That's number 2. The surprise for me was that I was surprised that it is so good in this deck. That was the surprise.
Yeah.
Because I'll remind you, one of our dorks is Kiora's Follower. And we have several, so now we have the new Vizier of Tumbling Sands and Fate Stitches in there. There's quite a few creatures that untap permanents. And to be able to untap Beguiler of Wills and get multiple activations per turn out of it is nuts. It's okay, I'll take your biggest thing and your second biggest thing. Okay, great. It's that's a hard turn for your opponent.
That's a shade of the untapping and tapping wizards deck that is a deck. I have a version of that. I have a Derevi deck. I've never actually got to cast Beguiler of Wills, I don't think, in that deck.
Yeah.
And I know that if I did, it would be so good. But yeah. This is one of those things where it's like it doesn't necessarily fit in with like a storm deck. You're like, why do you need this in storm? You're just going to win with storm. Why do you need to take their creatures? But it's just so good because of the other things your deck does that it's like it's kind of undeniable.
Yeah.
That it's going to be
So,
very
like,
effective and very good for you.
it's just so good.
Yeah.
I'm going to rewind the discussion for 2 seconds. One of the ways we do protect ourselves from wraths, I should have brought this up earlier, is when you do have your paradoxical outcome, you can hang on to it, like just hang on to 4 mana so that if anyone does try anything, you can just evacuate your whole board back to your hand.
Interesting, yeah. Okay, let's get to the... before we get to the budget report, I should say, we're going to have a quick chat about Wizard's Tower again.
Oh, yeah.
WizardTower.com. Go use our coupon code Tower Brews if you're ordering singles. Of course, if you're in the Ottawa area, go down and play a game. We've actually been talking about doing a big event there, a big Commander's Brew event. We're just loosely chatting, talking about when maybe is a good time to go. But and we'll of course let you guys know well in advance for again anyone in the Ottawa area or anyone in anywhere else, I guess, close-ish to there who want to come down and play a bit. But yeah, we'll get you those details. Pre-release weekend is coming up, September 23rd and 24th, of course. Get in there and get your Ixalan on. Get your Ixalan.
Yeah.
At Wizard Tower.
Yeah,
Cool.
participate in the treasure hunt.
You know what's the sweet thing about Wizard Tower? If you're taking the train to Ottawa, which is how I get to Ottawa when I go, because my wife's family's from there, we take it to the station before Ottawa, which is still in Ottawa. It's just like not the Ottawa station on the Via Rail, and it's called Fallowfield. And then Wizard's Tower is literally across the road from it.
Yep.
So you can, like, as you're going in, pop into Wizard's Tower, play in a pre-release, and then you can head home.
Yeah. Just take the train out, play a quick pre-release, and then, hop on back.
Pop back in. Yeah, exactly.
Be back in time for the sunset.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. Cool. Anyways, yeah, hit them up there and use Tower of Brews. Also, go to mtgcanada.com and check out articles written by yours truly, Sean, and myself.
Ours truly.
Sweet. Hours truly of devastation. Cool. Let's get that budget report going.
Yeah. This is where we take all of the cards and assign a dollar value to them, and if that value is too dorky, it's out of here.
Yeah, the dollar value can be too dorky.
Yeah.
47? Get out of here, you dork.
What a dork price.
47's a pure dork price.
So the most expensive card is how does this deck stack up? It's a few dollars short of 50, not including Tishanna. Because Tishanna's not out. As we know, whenever we do these pre-release episodes, we don't do the commander because who knows what she ends up costing. She's very expensive, probably not standard playable. No one's speculating on her being a real card in any like competitive formats. So I think she's pre-selling for like a couple bucks.
She's currently pre-selling for under 250. So
under 250.
So
I'm almost positive this will come in under 50.
Oh, she's going to even be less than that because this is 100% an EDH only card. She's a 7 mana. Like, come on. And even in EDH, 7 mana is a lot to play for a commander. Like, I don't know how popular she's going to be.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna brew one for sure.
Yeah, do it.
Sure. Already have. But but the most expensive card is a tutor, and that is Mystical Tutor. This is a $6 card. It's a 1 mana instant. Search your library for an instant or sorcery, reveal it, put it on top. So at the end of the last person's turn, you grab your paradoxical outcome, and then you're ready to go.
Mystical Tutor, I'm just finding out by looking at Scryfall here, is banned in Legacy and restricted in Vintage. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Legal in Commander, legal in 1v1 Commander, but banned in Dual Commander, which is the offline version of the 1v1 thing. Interesting, but it's a great card. Obviously, got to have it. Got to.
And then the second most expensive card one is another tutor. Go ahead.
We got Merchant Scroll here. 1 and a blue for a sorcery that says search your library for a blue instant card. Reveal that card and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. If you need to get a sorcery so bad you can merchant scroll for Mystic Tutor and then Mystic Tutor for the sorcery.
Hilarious.
What a chain. But yeah, in merchant scroll will usually get you what you want anyways, because you're probably looking to storm or something like that.
Yeah, a paradoxical outcome, or that's really what it's in here for, is paradoxical outcome.
Yeah, that's what you're looking to get. So this card's just under $5. But you need these, right? If you're playing Storm, you gotta have them, and especially if you're not running black as part of your color pie. Yeah, you gotta have these blue tutors. That'll do it for you.
It's an interesting discussion. Like, you do if you want that consistency, but I think by putting so many just churning through the deck type of dorks, maybe we don't. Like, maybe you take the chance of it. I don't know. I think that's a possibility. Then you're screwed if you don't get it, because there's a few options. Like, paradoxical outcome's the best, so you always want that. But maybe you don't need 2 tutors. Maybe you just have one and you just say it's only for paradoxical outcome. I don't know.
2's not that many in 100 cards, right? Like, I think I don't think you're doing anything like too broken if you include 2 decent tutors.
It's true. It's true. It's just something to think about.
Sure. And what do we got next?
Third most expensive card, Temporal Trespass. 8, blue, sorcery with Delve. So you could end up just paying blue if you dump your graveyard. Take an extra turn after this one and exile Temporal Trespass. This is there because there is no cheap way to give your whole team haste in a blue and green deck. So the cheapest, lowest CMC potentially way to do that is with this card. And it's about $225 right now.
Interesting. That's not that expensive. I mean, it does exile itself afterwards, so there's no shenanigans really.
Yeah,
but
it's here. So if you're also going to storm with the Storm of Beasts, what's that called again? Hunting Pack.
I like Storm of Beasts way better though.
Yeah,
it's also a pretty sick metal song.
Storm of Beasts.
Storm of Beasts. Yeah, wicked.
Wicked.
Yeah, you can listen to our band Temporal Trespass also anytime you want.
Yeah, that's our main song.
Yeah,
that's our hit single.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, the only way you can get haste is super expensive. So rather than give our creatures haste, let's just take another turn so that they don't have summoning sickness anymore.
Right. And speaking of giving them haste, it seems like I'm just going to jump this one because we're talking about it basically.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're talking about what cards are out of budget. What's how can we break the bank with this one? And as you know, this is a new-ish part of the show, but we'll talk about cards that are specifically to this deck out of budget and very good. So not just anything, not just any great card, obviously, but this is
we're not going to say Gilded Lotus
exactly.
every time.
Which I mean, apparently, arguably now people are taking out of decks. People aren't running it as much as they used to. Anyways, this one we're talking about is Concordant Crossroads. It's the 1 green world enchantment that says all creatures have haste. And obviously, when you got a lot of tapping going on, you want your creatures to have haste. This card itself can contribute to Storm just because it's so cheap. But cheap in real life, it is not. You can get the Chronicles version for about $12, so it's not, it's not Pact of Negation expensive, but
no.
But it's a little outside of the budget for this show.
Yeah, and another similar card for the same purpose as Chroma's Memorial, only that one costs $7 to cast and $16 in real life. Wow. And that's it gives all your creatures flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and from red. It's really overkill just to get that haste, but it's a way to do it.
It's an overkill way to get haste, but also allows your dorks to become attackers, kind of. You'd want a power toughness boost as well, but these guys have vigilance. They have first strike. They become good defenders with the first strike and vigilance, right? So even that's just great. So
yeah, and if you're facing black and red opponents, they probably are unblockable.
Yeah, they just get in, right?
It's especially because of things like Cryptolith Rite and Kira's Follower, to be able to use their ability the turn that you cast them really enables some sick Storm turns.
And finally, we have Thrasios, Triton Hero. green, blue, legendary merfolk wizard. He's a 1/3. He says, pay 4 generic. You can scry 1, then reveal the top of your library. If it's a land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, draw a card. And he's a partner commander, but we're not worried about that. So he has the repeatable, not only coiling oracle ability, but you get to do the scry 1 right before it. So that's pretty sweet. And he's at just over $5 right now. So
yeah. I'm like, maybe you could squeeze him in if you trade in 1 tutor for him. I think that's a fair trade.
Yep.
He is the ultimate dork.
The ultimate dork.
I think so.
Think so?
He's going to ramp you. He helps you draw. He does everything you want to do repeatedly.
So now I know we're doing Tishanna because this is Ixalan, but would you, in reality, switch Thrasios for Tishanna? Would he be a better commander because he's the ultimate dork? Or do you just want that very reliable... It's like, okay, this is the turn before I'm going to storm off. Cast Tishana, draw a million cards. Do you want that ability more so?
I think so. I think I want to draw a million cards because then I'm going to draw my free spells. Right? If I draw like 14 or 15 cards, then I'm going to have 2 or 3 more free spells in there. Plus, I'm going to get all my 1-drops and then most of my 2-drops. It really does make your storm turn so much more efficient.
Cool. Well, good to know. So there you go. That's it.
Ooh.
That's everything.
It's fun. I want to play this deck.
Yeah. This looks very neat. I mean, obviously we talked a little bit about Epic Experiment. This is very reminiscent of that, but still with a very different take on it, like creature heavy. You don't see that a lot with Storm decks, and I think that's a lot of fun. I love it when there's a different take on something we already know. Or at least think we know is the way to do things. You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's it for the show. That's it for the deck. We are going to be we'll have a commander interview, a Brews News segment coming up, as we always do. You can stick around for that. Otherwise, we'll see everybody later in the week because we're going to have our set review out very soon.
Yes, indeed.
For Ixalan. And, but yeah, other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Brews News.
This week, travel tips from Ixalan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Brews News. Tonight, we have a very special travel section.
Yes, we have someone from the plane of Ixalan to give us travel tips. Over to Sean in the studio. Thank you, Sean. This is the travel section of Brews News, and we have with us someone from the plane of Ixalan, a raptor.
Hello, it's good to be here.
Great to have you. Thank you for talking to us about traveling. What do you have to say?
About traveling in general.
We'll start general, we'll zoom in.
Well, everyone should get out there and travel around. I think it's one of the spices of life, really. As a raptor, trust me, I know about spices, you know what I mean?
Great. Now, you're here on Earth plane with us doing this interview. How do you find it so far? We haven't had dinosaurs here for a very long time.
Yeah, I noticed. You guys had dinos for a bit there. For a pretty long time, and then all of a sudden, none. All gone. There are no more anymore. And, there's some big, major differences. The food's different, for one thing.
Yeah, I guess I learned that back in the dinosaur times, we call them dinosaur times, that animals were just so much larger. Now they're fairly small in comparison.
Yeah, that's right. And, dinosaurs, our hands aren't, as good as your guys', I guess you could say, I guess. But, so that led to, you guys are making more breads, honestly. It's mostly, that's mostly the main differences. We're doing meats, we're doing vegetables, but we're not doing as much bread as you guys. You guys got a lot of breads. And a lot of your food is based around breads. What's a sandwich, right? It's just a bunch of stuff, and then you wrap bread around it.
Yeah, there is a lot of popularity right now with different diets, and we talk about the paleo diet, which is named after a time period that you come from.
Is it?
I don't know. I assume it's really like time. I guess it must refer to human times, therefore not even close to dinosaurs. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Sean. You caught that one on your own, actually. But yeah, I mean, a paleo diet, though, now that you mention it, is basically a dinosaur diet. You should probably call it a Jurassic diet.
Oh, we love calling things Jurassic. Oh, Jurassic Park the ride, Jurassic Park the movie, Jurassic World. Man, you must love those movie series.
I got a quick bone to pick with that series, actually. I don't want to get too into it, but none of those dinosaurs talked. You know?
Well, I mean, the T-Rex had the best roar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all got a roar. Let's check this one out. Right? That's pretty good.
Yeah, we got to check our sound levels on that in case it didn't break any equipment. But yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to give you guys a peek of that. But like talking, words. Dinosaurs can speak words. Like I'm doing right now.
So they got that wrong. One other thing we seem to have gotten wrong is you're very feathered. There's lots of wonderful feathers and colors. And I guess traditionally, I know you're not feathered.
Well, I mean, I got feathers under my suit.
Thank you also for wearing a suit.
It's a fancy occasion. I'm on TV. It's not every day I'm on TV.
Yeah, great. Well, it's great. It's great to have you here. And so for those of us who want to travel to the plane of Ixalan, do you have any travel tips for us going that direction?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. First of all, stay off the water, right? You're going to get your stuff stolen straight up.
Because of the pirates?
Yeah. Beckett Brass and all that crew. I mean, they're just going to straight up steal your stuff. And, if you're like me, you collect, bottle caps and, like, I don't know, like interesting rocks. Something I collect. So and they just steal that stuff. They just take it. They don't even sell it. They just take it and, like, throw it in the water, throw it in the ocean.
You could defend yourself by eating them. Would you eat a person? Is that rude? Is that rude to ask?
I don't think it's rude. I mean, would I eat a person? Yes. Yeah, I would. I have,
Okay. Is it true they say that once you've tasted blood, you just want more blood? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, are dinosaurs by nature carnivores, omnivores, herbivores, or do they come in all the varieties?
Well, that's a good question. There are a lot of varieties. We got meat eaters. We got plant eaters. But let me ask you this, Sean. You've had a taste of ice cream, right?
Yes, I have. Lots of tastes.
And you keep wanting it, right?
Yeah, that's true. I guess if I never knew what ice cream tasted like, I might not want it. But I always want ice cream.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone wants ice cream. And all dinosaurs want blood, bottom line. The only ones who haven't are the ones who just haven't had it yet.
So there's no such thing as a true herbivore.
Absolutely not. No. Well, I mean, they are, but they don't know it. They don't know what the story with them is. Anyways, also on Ixalan, you want to stay away from blood in general because that's where the vampires are all about. You know what I mean? Those guys, you don't mess with those guys.
What about the merfolk? Are they nice? Can we hang out with those?
Well, of course, they get all the stuff. Like the pirates throw all the stuff in the water. And then the merfolk just go get it, and all of a sudden their apartments are full of nice collections and, pictures and stuff.
Interesting. Well, I really want to go. It looks beautiful, a lot of beautiful terrains and just vistas. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, the tourism board there, they do a great job. Of course, I work for the tourism board. That's my thing. I do a little PR for them, obviously. And that's what I'm here to tell you guys. Come to Ixalan. I know I said, there's pirates and, yeah, dinosaurs that want to eat people. But I promise you, the jungles look nice.
Now, the rumor is that if you spark over to Ixalan, one of the properties is you cannot leave it, even if you know how to planeswalk. Is that true?
Well, you'll have to ask a planeswalker about that. Straight up, I can't planeswalk. Somehow I made it here. But, that's more of a tourism thing. There's a tourism channel that you can use to get to other planes if you work for a tourism board. It's like a government thing. I don't want to get into it.
No, that's fine. We wouldn't bore you with government details like that. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to any travel tips for anyone going to or from Ixalan or Earthplane for that matter?
Yes, always carry a small rodent for any meat eaters you might come across, or maybe just some fresh sausages, like some uncooked sort of steaks to distract the big guys, and keep your nice collections at home. Don't take them.
Travel light, folks. You heard it here first. And now back to Andy and Sean in the studio. Thank you, Sean. And thank you to the dinosaur.
I'll tell you, if this is the first time I told you that I'd taken travel advice from a dinosaur, I'd be telling the truth.
Well, have a nice deck, everybody. If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.